We're live! Hey everybody! Welcome and thanks for joining us for the Facebook Live event for the Duke PA program. We're talking today about our admissions process and here to answer your questions. I'm April Stouter. I'm the Associate Program Director and I serve as Chair of the Admissions Committee. And I'm going to let my co-presenters introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Catherine Manjares. I'm a first-year student at the Duke PA program, originally from New York.
And I'm Grace Dreyer. I'm a second-year PA student, and I'm from Ohio.
Will you guys both just talk a little bit about your journey to PA school?
I always knew I wanted to do medicine, and I feel that by default it was MD, that's what I was going to do. And I went to undergrad and was a little shaken by the intensity that it was undergrad. So I had a couple of rough patches then, and then I joined my collegiate EMS. And it was one of the best experiences having the opportunity to learn medicine, even if it was at the pre-hospital level, and getting to actually treat and manage patients. And it was in EMS that I learned about the PA profession and everything about it. That the difference between PA, NP, MD, all of it. And then through my shadowing experiences and my preclinical experiences like scribing, I got to work closely with MDs and PAs, and I knew exactly this is what I want to do. So I applied right after I graduated, and I didn't get in, but that following year was one of the best years in terms of maturity and more experiences and really getting to know what my future was going to be like. And it just solidified my dream of being a PA. So that when I came to my interviews, it was just everything that I said was natural. And I think I was able to really portray my feelings about the PA profession and why I was going to be a great PA. And then I got into the #1 program.
So my journey to PA school, I am probably similar. And I think most people that think about PA school at one point thought about medical school. And I think it's something to talk about because I think some people are honestly afraid to be like, oh, I thought about med school. But most of us have. And always knew I wanted to be in medicine. Didn't know that much about PAs when I was younger. But med school was never really quite the right fit for me. There were things that I didn't want about it. I have so many lovely friends that are in med school and are practicing, MDs and DOs. And there were, I really wanted the flexibility that is just really, really hard to get when you're an MD or a DO. And I didn't know there was, honestly, for a long time, I didn't know there was a profession where I could do medicine and have that kind of flexibility. I have a lot of different interests and I wanted to work in a few different fields and I didn't think that would be possible. And so when I heard about PA school, I had a friend who was applying to PA school and she told me all about it. I was like, oh, this is kind of what I've been looking for all my life. My clinical experience was primarily in EMS. I did some collegiate EMS, and then I also did some community-based EMS as well. And I loved it. It was one of my first provider role experiences, I loved it. I loved talking to patients and hearing their stories, and I even like things like documentation. I just really enjoyed it. And so I was like, oh, I know I'm supposed to be in medicine, but it gave me enough of a taste and enough responsibility that I felt like I really grew. And so if you're wondering, what kinds of good experiences there are, there's tons of our classrooms that are not EMTs. They do all kinds of different things. There's rad techs and there's nurses and there's, I don't even know, there's so many different kinds.
So Lexi has a question about what makes Duke #1 and what makes you enjoy it most. From my perspective, what makes us #1 is the people. We work really hard here. Students work hard, faculty and staff work hard. We're really very invested in our students and the quality of the PAs that we're producing at this program. Do you guys have opinions on what makes us #1?
So I think one thing that makes Duke truly awesome is just the amount of resources that they're able to pour into this program, especially because, Duke Hospital and all of that entails is right here.
And the sense of community here is also fantastic. I mean, they go out of their way to really make the transition smooth and as easy for you as possible. And just, again, attention to detail, you know. Sometimes, and last semester they had kind of a treat day where faculty brought in snacks for us to kind of just, you know, make us feel better, you know. Just little things like that. I honestly have no doubt that any one of my classmates deserves to be here. They're all fantastic, and they really also search for the best of the best, all walks of life. And the faculty is always there for you, no matter what. It doesn't have to be your advisor any time of the day with any concern you might have, which is fantastic because sometimes you don't even know you need help until you need it, and then someone's there for you. You don't have to plan it ahead of time.
My name is Jose Esteban. I'm a second-year PA student here from North Carolina.
Hi, my name is Laura Collier. I'm a first-year student from Riverdale, Georgia.
I'm Wendy Elwell Page, the Assistant Director of Admissions here at the program.
Hey everyone, I'm April Stouter. I'm the Associate Program Director and Director of Admissions. Welcome, we're glad you're here.
Allison wants to know what it's like to be in such a big program, and do you get individual attention and support?
So it is a big program. In my class there are 90 students. And I know that coming on the first day, and you just have all these students in the one classroom, you're like, how am I going to get to know everyone? How am I going to get to know people's names? You have an entire faculty, you have staff, and it can seem like a lot. However, I think the program did a great job at creating small groups within our large group. So when we had an anatomy class, we had a small group for that. We have our advisement group. So each student has an advisor, and they have their whole cohort of students, and you meet with them as well.
And to answer the question of a little farther, whether we get individual attention as students, there's definitely, and Laura definitely touched on that with the advisors. Advisors have around 8 to 9 students from the faculty members, and that itself, having that small amount of that small ratio for that many students for each advisor, you get that individual attention throughout the school year. And there's always that moment where a student has questions about their decisions and what they got themselves into, and they always need that support from the advisors to give that realization of why you want to be a PA and that you can do this and that you've gotten accepted here for a reason. And I certainly got that through my didactic year, and even now as a clinical year student. In a clinical year student, most people think it might be more difficult getting that individual attention as you network out into your rotations, especially if you're out of town. But from my experiences, my advisor did a really good job communicating, making sure she reaches out to me at least once a month to make sure how I'm doing, if I'm sleeping well, if I'm doing well, if I'm having a well-balanced lifestyle, and just to remind me that I'm almost there. So there's certainly that individual support indeed throughout the 2 years.
What do you think made you stand out as an applicant? That's a great question.
So there were things that I liked to do, like I knew I liked to dance, and I kind of made little inferences of that in my personal statement. So I think that my advice would be to show who you are, also adding to what Winnie's also said, show why you want to be in the PA profession. You should tell us a little bit about your clinical experience, and I think if you do that, then you'll shine right through.
The GPA program has a big goal of teaching students to be a culturally competent practicing PAs, and really has a variety of goals, including excellence and volunteerism, as well as diversity. And so I looked at my background, I looked at myself, and how do my experiences help fit best to these goals of the PA program? And so I touched on especially some personal aspects, including myself being a first-generation immigrant. I wanted to talk about the certain healthcare challenges that my family and I went through growing up in the country here. And that I think that itself, I was able to kind of convey some of the challenges that the healthcare field has currently, and that we're still trying to process through, but that how the PA profession itself can also make an impact in there. And I was able to kind of relay that, make that connection between my experiences and what I can do to contribute to the healthcare profession. And I think that's what made me stand out most. What I've liked most about the GPA program, to answer that question, there's a lot. One thing actually, and I actually appreciated it now during my clinical year rotation, is the amount of resources available as a Duke student. When I was applying to different PA programs and interviewing for them and the kind of resources available for them, one of the biggest things right now, and a lot of healthcare providers using now, is just the technology that's available, and that's including all the apps. There's UpToDate, there's Lexicon, and just being in such close reach to it and having that access to it. Now all PA programs can provide those students that availability for them during their clinical orientations, and when you do start that, you'll realize the amazing joy of just literally looking up or double checking an answer real quick on your phone or on the computer screen. It's really reassuring. But yeah.
And I know that what made the difference for me was when I came for the interview. It felt like coming home again. Even though the program is actually away from main campus, I felt like it was different but very comforting at the same time. And I also knew that I was going to get a world-class education. So one of the things that was a big deal for me was being part of a program that I thought was going to be at the cusp of new innovations when it comes to PA education, and even a program that was very particular about the PA student experience. And I knew that the Duke PA program was very much invested in that, in making sure that each PA student has an experience worthwhile. And that was very important for me. Also coming in, I knew that I did my research, so I knew that a lot of the faculty were, movers and shakers in PA education, movers and shakers in the PA profession themselves, and I thought that it just would be an honor and a privilege to go to a program and to be a part of this program.